Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for an incredible session of the Daily African Proverbs. My name is Simon Javan Okello, and I am in Seattle, Washington. This is our first session this month. You know, we are in a new month, the month of August, and I hope you all had a nice weekend. I am just waking up here in Seattle, Washington, and for those who are meeting me for the first time, I am from Kisumu, Kenya originally, but I am the host of the African Father in America podcast, and I'm also the producer of Madaraka Festival happening here in Seattle, Washington, August 13th and 14th, and some people know me as the founder of One Vibe Africa or the CEO of One Vibe Media, so I do many different things, and I'm very proud of all the work that I do. But today we are here to discuss a proverb from South Africa. Every day we gather here, on Clubhouse. We also gather on YouTube, and we discuss amazing African proverbs. And our hope every single day, Monday to Friday, is that by the time we end our conversation together, we learn something new. We learn especially some African wisdom that we can take, into our day and into our lives, and just, get better and hopefully become more mindful and help protect and preserve these beautiful nuggets of wisdom from our ancestors. So if you're just joining us on Clubhouse, please remember that we're actually live on YouTube as well, and the link to the YouTube live stream is now at the top of the Clubhouse room, so that you can join us live on YouTube as well. I also appreciate the people who are already on YouTube. It means a lot that you've taken your time to be here with us today. So what is the proverb that we are going to discuss today? I think that's the question that many of you are asking. The South African proverb says that when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. That is our proverb for today from South Africa. We are taking a virtual journey to South Africa, where these days, long when I was growing up, I used to wonder what South Africa is like and what kind of people I can connect with from there. But that's not the case anymore. These days, I'm realizing that I have a lot of good connections in South Africa, from former ministers to artists, sangomas, poets. In fact, the person who is going to do the land acknowledgement ceremony and also the libation at Madaraka this year is actually a South African sangoma that spoke during Africa Day this year, and he has been a guest here on the African Father in America podcast quite a few times. His name is Lita Boy. And if you're interested in learning more about him, let me know, and I'll be able to share more information with you. So again, thank you for joining us. Our proverb for today from South Africa says, when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. I want you to think about your favorite food that you run to when you feel like, wow, this project is so stressful. Instead of going to punch the wall or to break the TV, maybe let me go and eat, and after eating I'll feel a little good and ready to continue. There are people who also this proverb, the meal is just a symbol of what it is. What ritual do you do when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel that there's so much to do, there's very minimal resources, there's very little time? What is it that you do that serves as a meal, that gives you the energy to keep going even when things are so terrible? So this South African proverb says that, what it says that makes sense is that food is the fuel of it. It's literally the fuel of the body, similar to the vehicles that we drive, the airplanes that we fly in, the motorbikes that we ride on, the boats that we are currently enjoying during this summer. You have to put fuel in it. And so in the case of your body, you have to eat something for your body to continue functioning effectively. So we are going to also remember that many of us always think about what kind of food are we putting in our body, what kind of fuel are we putting in our body, because even if you go to the gas station, we have regular, premier, diesel. You have to choose the right thing for your body, something that your body is going to respond to very well. So these are things that we all have to think about, because each one of us know our body really well, and some of us also have electric vehicles, where you just use very minimal gas, but then your car either makes more energy on its own, or it harnesses some other form of energy, maybe even solar, to continue moving. So this proverb is really, really beautiful, and it allows us to think about three lessons that I want to share before we go even deeper into our conversation. But before I share the takeaways for today's episode, I actually want to invite you, our listeners on Clubhouse, to join me on stage. And I also want to invite you to share the link to this conversation with your family and friends outside of Clubhouse. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to the channel, I highly recommend that you subscribe to this channel, because there is always beautiful and valuable lessons that people get by staying tuned to this channel. So you don't want to miss any of it. And now, as we continue on with the conversation, I just want to welcome Lady. Thank you for joining us. This is a perfect space for you. Feel free to join us on the stage. And I see Sky and Sarah and Dan. Also feel free to join us on the stage. We are here to discuss a beautiful African proverb that says, when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. When you have a lot to do, start with a meal. This is a South African proverb, and I want to share 3 takeaways, 3 lessons that you can potentially learn from this beautiful South African proverb. Number 1, make a list of everything you need to do. Start with the easiest task on your list. This you could be doing while you're enjoying that meal that you decided to take right before tackling the big task ahead of you. Number 2, once that's done, once you've written the list of the things that you need to do, move on to the next easiest task and repeat until a task has been completed, And then number 3, reward yourself for completing your tasks. Find little ways of rewarding yourselves. Many times growing up in Kenya, we didn't really talk about rewards. Maybe my mom actually rewarded me with commissions whenever I distributed milk and bread and had successful weeks or months. Sometimes she gave me a commission, a bigger commission or bonus. Sometimes she took me to a better school based on how well I was doing with my distribution job. But in this case, it's you're working on yourself, and you realize that, for example, in my current case, I am producing a 2-day festival in downtown Seattle, Washington, and we are anticipating between 5,000 to 7,000 people each day. So there are over 16 artists. There are over 4 bands that will be working with multiple artists. There are like 6 DJs that will be playing. We have security personnel. We have, over 20 volunteers. We have, like 30 sponsors and community partners. So just managing all of this, chaos requires that you breathe and think, but also you need to eat well. You need to eat well. And even also as an artist, before performing on stage, a couple of hours earlier. You need to have a good meal. Otherwise, you will run out of energy and you can't do it. So this proverb is really reminding us that no matter how important the task ahead of you is, you first have to feed yourself, eat something, take care of you, and then tackle whatever is in front of you. So again, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. This is a safe space. This is a space where we ground ourselves based on African proverbs and African wisdom. So with that, I want to invite perspectives from all of you who are on the stage, and I want to encourage everyone who is watching, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you're listening, remember to join the African Father in America Club, but also ping in a few people, 3 to 5 people, to join us for today's conversation. I want to introduce my brother Rushi so that he can also speak a little bit about today's proverb. If you can just briefly introduce yourself, share with us where you are, and also what today's proverb means to you. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you for having me in the room today. I am in Charleston, South Carolina, currently. And yeah, this proverb is a great proverb. I believe it does speak to how you feed your soul. I know for me, there's physical food that I use as a meal to kind of give myself a reset. And me being from the South, that would be shrimp and grits. I eat a lot of shrimp and grits and a lot of fish. So those are the physical meals I use to kind of give me a reset or kind of comfort me. But sometimes when, you can't always use food for me as that fuel. So a lot of times what I do now is to try to keep myself balanced, I use just meditation and just a little bit of physical exercise in the form of a couple of push-ups to kind of work out my anger issues, or just to give myself a reset to keep myself energized and fueled on. Exercise and some water. Those are the blessings I use for my fuel. So this is a great proverb. I appreciate the time.
Fantastic. Shrimp and grits. I've heard a lot about it. I don't think I've had good shrimp and grits. So when you're back in Seattle, you should take me to one of your favorite joints around here, or make it and we can visit with you.
Yeah, no problem. I'll have to make it. There's no place there around there that has it the right way. Yeah, I always make it, so that's no problem.
Fantastic, man. Now I'm already salivating. Yeah, man. Thank you again for being here, Rushi. And welcome, Steve and Kay and Roger and Sarah. Welcome on stage. Feel free to join us so that you can also contribute your voice to this incredible conversation. We are discussing a South African proverb, and it says that when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. Now we want to move on to Brother Earth and listen to what Brother Earth has to say about today's proverb. Brother Earth, also share with us where you're joining us from, please. Thank you so much.
Peace and love, family. It's Brother Earth. I'm coming from the North Carolina territory. And, top of the week to the fam. And when I look at the proverb, um, when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. What it makes me think of is, pace yourself and don't get ahead of yourself. You know what I mean? Focus on what it is. One thing the older people used to say is, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And a lot of times, sometimes when you have a lot of things to do, if you just focus on everything you got to do, you can get overwhelmed, especially if you haven't put the right fuel in your body. And something you said, Simon, that I look at a little different at times. So for myself, sometimes when I'm at work, um, you know, my motto is in the morning when I got the most energy, I want to do the most strenuous or the biggest task. Take the biggest task out first, and then as you progress, you working downhill, opposed to at the end of the day be working uphill. So that's just how I look at that. And again, because sometimes if you do have a lot to do, you just you can cause anxiety for yourself to overthink it. But when you pacing yourself, you have a meal. It gives you time to mentally prepare before you embark on whatever it is you need to handle. And I park my plane right there. Peace and love, fam.
Peace and love to you. Peace and love to you. I love the idea that you shared about, starting with the big tasks earlier in the day and going downhill towards the end of the day. I love that a lot. And again, thank you for your continued support, Brother Earth. I deeply appreciate it. And now I want to welcome Lady. Lady, how are you doing today, and where are you joining us from? And when you hear this proverb from South Africa, it says, when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. What is it that comes to your mind? Share with us, please.
Okay, guys. Hi, my name is Lady Millard. I'm going to just introduce you to my company as well. I built a cryptocurrency to prevent housing theft. If that makes sense to you, please inbox me. I want to build from a place of love, and so you have to do something like that really slowly. So I don't sell any of my cryptocurrency. I don't sell any of my product. We won't actually be selling anything until 2024. I learned to slow down because I realized that I was too fast for everyone, and everyone was taking advantage of my speed and betting on me. They would bet on me, like bet that I could get to the next level or whatever. But I would never see any of that money. So I had to come up with a new plan. When I think of what it means to have a meal, I think of just sitting down with my mom and planning. I'm going to say that again. When I think of what it is to have a meal, I just think of what it is to sit down with my mom and planning. Because in many instances, a lot of people don't have time to organize their thought process enough to realize that your mom is your greatest interest at heart. Your mom has your greatest interest at heart. And we all need to apologize to our moms because they bear the biggest pain in giving us life. I think I'm at a good stopping place. Thank you guys for listening. I am learning. I am bending time. I am forging. I am helping others. I'm doing all this and becoming my best self. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lady. That was really wonderful. And congratulations on all the great work that you do, to support people and to help people protect their houses and their properties. So thank you so much. Stay with us. We will have another round of, contributions from everyone on the stage. And to everyone who is listening, in the listening lounge on Clubhouse, thank you for being here with us. And to everyone who is watching on YouTube, also thank you for joining us over there. In case you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. That's one of the ways that you can support. Another way you can support is to subscribe, is to follow my Instagram. Just tap my profile picture on Clubhouse and follow me on Instagram. That's where I actually engage with people the most. I also share a lot of content about some of the initiatives that I do that I was talking about earlier. So that's the best place to engage with me. But right now we are taking a virtual journey to South Africa through this amazing South African proverb that says that when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. So what does it mean to you? In case you're watching this after this live conversation, share in the comments on YouTube so that I know what this proverb means to you. At this moment, I want to introduce Kay. Kay, let us know where you are, where you're joining us from in this moment, and also what this proverb from South Africa means to you. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. I'm on Abenaki land, commonly referred to as Vermont. And this proverb to me means when we have a really long list of different priorities, it's really easy to lose perspective of what's most important. But reminding us to eat the meal first is a reminder to always take care of ourselves first. And that moment of enjoying the meal can it gets us out of the scattered thinking of, oh, I have all these things to do, which one should I do first? And it allows you to sit with caring for yourself, which should be a priority, and relaxing into the chores that need to be done, and allows you to reflect on the next thing that has to come to mind, or will come to mind, it less frenetically, if you're calm and well fed, and that's, I guess that's about it. Thank you.
You're welcome, Kay. Thank you for your contributions as well. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your continued support. I just saw a few comments there on on in the chat room here on Clubhouse. Dan, thank you for sharing the room on Twitter. That's something you can all do. You can share this room on Twitter, on Facebook, on other platforms to help us spread the word. And also, let us know in the comments, if you're not in a place to speak at the moment, let us know in the comments what it is that this proverb from South Africa means to you. When you have a lot to do, start with a meal. And I want to come to you, Stella, if you're ready, so that we can hear your voice. Let us know where you are, where you're joining us from, and also what this proverb from South Africa means to you. Thank you so much.
Hello, Simon. Hi, everyone. This is Stella from Kenya, and today's proverb is something that happens to me all the time. I usually find myself with a lot, and so I usually just write them down and then try to tackle them one by one. But I think whoever wrote this proverb knew that there would be a time that you would have so much, but you have to remember that for you to work, you have to get your energy set so that you don't work until you lose yourself. Otherwise, it's really a beautiful proverb today, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Stella. I am also very, very happy that you're here. One thing that only Rushi did that all of you on stage forgot to do, especially with this proverb, is sharing your go-to meal. The meal that you normally run to when you feel like, wow, this task is so stressful. Let me eat. Like for me, even though I am Kenyan, I really love sushi. Of course, I can't afford sushi, but once in a while when I have sushi, I feel like, oh, this is a good situation. I love ugali and tilapia and sukuma wiki. I think that solves all my problems. So if I have a good ugali and a whole tilapia with some greens, some green kale, for those who have tried it, you probably would agree with me that meal can solve a lot of problems. But I want to do a second round with everyone who is on stage, and I'm going to turn off hand raising now because we are going towards the last portion of our conversation today. And before I go ahead, I actually want to speak about Madaraka Festival that I am producing in Seattle, Washington, August 13th and 14th. But on the 13th, we also have a VIP experience that I am producing at the W Hotel in Seattle, where the headlining artist for Madaraka this year is D'banj. And D'banj is an incredible African legend. He's done music with Kanye West, with Snoop, and in Africa, he's actually, he's a tastemaker from long before Burna Boy and Davido and Sauti Sol were around. He was the person that they were looking up to, and even now, musically and lyrically, he is one of the most respected artists in the continent. So it's really a privilege to work with him. In fact, yesterday I was meeting with Red Sun, who is another prolific Kenyan artist and is an African giant too. He's being managed by Sony Music. D'banj is also being managed by Sony Music, based in South Africa. So to even work with these artists who are being managed by big labels like that is something I never dreamed about. But because we've been putting together Madaraka consistently for 8 years, now we are getting the attention of the right people. Yesterday I could not believe that, Red Sun was offering to perform at Madaraka Festival 2 weeks to the event, and he was willing to accept, any kind of partnership that we could come up with in order to include him in the lineup. But the lineup is packed. We have artists from New Guinea, we have artists from from Kenya, we have artists from South Sudan, we have artists from Cameroon, all converging in Seattle for 2 days. So if you don't know about Madaraka Festival, you should go to www.madarakafestival.com, or you can follow me on Instagram, and you will see a lot of posts about it. We are posting a lot of incredible promo videos from all the artists. So that's one way that you can be involved. But if you can't make it to Seattle, we are also, streaming the festival virtually on YouTube, on One Vibe TV, So you can subscribe to One Vibe TV on YouTube, and you'll be able to enjoy all the shows. In fact, today, we will be posting all the promo videos on One Vibe TV. And again, let me know if you want to be involved, either with the virtual experience of Madaraka Festival or with the in-person event in Seattle. And also, if you're learning about Madaraka for the first time, that word, it's a word that it's a Swahili word that means liberation. You should go to madarakafestival.com, you learn its meaning, and then you learn about the history of this event and why we have been doing it for so long. Thank you. And now, Rushi shared with us earlier about shrimp and grit. Rushi, could you just speak to that again for a moment so that we have a better understanding of why this is your meal that solves all your problems?
I think it's the history of it. Grits is to Southerners what ugali is to Kenyans. It's the same. It's our ugali per se. So it's the food that when you eat it, you grow up eating it because your mother, your grandmother cooked it for you in the morning times. So when you ate it, it's so warm and so just a very comforting food. It sticks to you. So it just gives you a feeling of ease and of comfort. It's kind of a heavy food, so it can kind of put you in a more mellow mood to like get your day going. So it's that type of food. It's just like more of a comforting type of food it is, and it takes it's a food that it takes a while to cook. If you're not eating like instant grits, if you're eating like the real grits, it takes about a good 30 minutes. So it gives you time to have to sit still and focus because they say a washed pot never boils. So you can't sit there and wash the pot, but you kind of got to. But it just gives you a time to reflect on what is important, which is family, and taking care of yourself. So it's one of those foods that it makes you slow down. If you're making grits, you just have to slow down. And if you have a busy morning, it's something that makes you slow down, take your time, have some tea, and take care of yourself first before you take care of everyone else. So that's the reason why. It's just one of those foods that gets you in that mood.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, let's hear from you, brother Earth. Share with us your meal, your go-to meal that solves all your problems. When you have a stressful time, when you're about to deal with, a situation that you don't like, and you want to be ready for it. What is it that you eat so that you can face this situation 100% present?
Peace and love, family. It's Brother Earth once again, and I'm right along there with you and Rushi. I'm a seafood man myself, um, but I would say right now I would probably it be salmon and rice and a vegetable, cabbage or something like that. But growing up, a lot of times the reason I love fish, like he was talking about the fish and grits though. Um, Growing up, a lot of times when there wasn't too much in the house to eat, we used to go fishing for fun, and the fish would be what we would eat. So I always did love, and to this day love seafood for that reason. But I'm a salmon man now. But peace and love.
Nice. I love it. Let's go to Lady and just hear what Lady also has to say in regards to your meal, your meal that solves all your problems, something that you run to when you're about to go for an interview, when you're about to, tackle, one of the projects that you're doing in regards to crypto that is extremely stressful. What is it that you run to prepare yourself so that you don't fall down because you didn't eat well? Okay, Lady, we will come back to you later. Let's go to Kay. Kay, share with us your go-to meal that solves all your problems.
Pretty much anything with chocolate does it for me. um, I'm also a big fan of any kind of carb, like mashed potatoes with garlic and butter, and even peanut butter. It's really good with soy sauce. It sounds kind of strange, but I really like that, and toast. But yeah, coffee and chocolate are there. That's my go-to.
I love it. Yeah, it's. I think a lot of people comfort themselves with chocolate. I love that. If you're just joining us, we are in round 2 of our conversation today. When we began our time together today, we were dissecting today's proverb that is from South Africa and learning and gaining some African wisdom from it. The proverb says, when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. And so everyone on stage shared with us their interpretation of this proverb, and and also where they're joining us from. But now we are learning their favorite meals, the meals that they love to eat before they face a storm. And so we've heard from Rushi, we've heard from Brother Earth, we've heard from Kay. I want to hear from Stella, and then I want to come back to you, Lady, if you have time. I invited a couple of other friends to join us on the stage. We still have a few more minutes to continue this incredible daily African Proverbs session. So, Stella, share with us your favorite, your go-to meal that solves all your problems.
My favorite meal is fish, and boiled fish for that matter. I think because I have these beautiful memories when I was a child. My mom would prepare boiled fish in a very special way. She would just get fish directly from the lake and then prepare it and boil and then add salt. And it was the yummiest thing I've ever eaten, with brown ugali. And then there was a way they would prepare that ugali, and she would call it kuna nanga. I don't know, Simon, how that is translated into Kizungu, but it was the sweetest thing I ate when I was a child. So I've always tried to rebuild those memories and try to boil fish that I've
Happy
never.
kavar.
Sorry, but I've
I'm
never
remembering.
achieved that level.
I'm remembering the opening gifts that God gave us.
Hello.
Hey Stella, I was just creating space for Lady to share what she had to share. Lady, why don't we give you a moment to speak and then we come back to Stella to finish? But Stella, I love fish too, and I was talking about tilapia, but we'll come back to you in a moment. Lady, go ahead.
Valianiaka e kavar. The value of women is 8. The value of men is 1. I'll say that again because you guys are slow and I can run. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Valianiaka e kavar.
Beautiful. Which language is that?
The original language that I learned, which is, either, I don't know, Coptic Christian, or they're fighting about it, so they don't know.
Very nice, very nice. How did you learn about it, Lady? Like, where did you learn how to say that?
I sat with teachers that taught me. I had time to sit with women who taught me languages.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I feel that that's something that I experienced when aunties were around. You'd see them, pouring into children, and so that's really incredible. I love that. Do you want to speak to your favorite, your go-to meal that solves all your problems as well, or you want to skip that part?
Any meal that comes from my aunt's hand, she has the best cooking in the planet. Any meal that comes from her hand is my favorite meal.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now let's come back to Stella for a second here. Stella, boiled fish is really something that is no longer, you know, is no longer popular the way it was. These days people love fried fish, especially in Kenya. Even stew, people fry it before they add the stew to the side, and I honestly feel that that's part of why people are having a lot of health issues, because people have forgotten the simplicity of cooking tilapia, and just cooking it without too much oil and too much this and that, just a simple meal with salt, like you're describing it. And then kuona nanga, I think they use that word. Ananga means leek, and I feel that it's because of how it sticks in your hand as you're eating it with the fish and soup, is why you have to lick your hands a lot, and I think that's why they call it kurananga. I don't know much, but I feel that that's probably why. And Stella, do you feel hard, or do you have anything else to share before we move on to Jay?
Yeah, I agree with you, Simon. I think that's why most of us have health issues nowadays, because there was also this pot called ohigla when we were young, and there was this fish that can bite your finger and even end up cutting it. I don't know, it was called mamba or kamongo, something like that. And then there's a way it would be prepared, like it would be gotten from the lake, then it's brought very early in the morning, and then it's made inside that ohigla, that pot. And then it was like a special occasion, and the end product was so sweet. It's something I've never seen again since those days. But I think meals are very important, especially in our health. So we should be really careful of the things we eat. Otherwise, I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, as you're speaking, you reminded me a lot about the environment where we grew up, especially in Manyata, or even whenever I went to rural parts of Kenya, you'd find that when a special meal like that, like mud fish that you're talking about, when it's being made, the whole neighborhood knows that those guys today they're cooking something special. And the beauty of that was that everybody can come. So, whenever you're cooking something special, you don't count the number of people in your own household. You always count the number of people who are not in your household that are going to show up, because I can assure you someone was also smelling that good cooking that you're doing. And many times when we were making a special meal, we had visitors, uninvited, and it was normal. But what I miss here in Seattle, in the US, is that, people can actually just enjoy a meal with a guest sitting next to them. And because the guest didn't give them prior notice, they'll just give you water or something else, but the host is just devouring the fish on their own. So, try to bring your Africanness into your diaspora community and be more sharing, and also visit with people impromptu. There's a couple that actually have just ambushed us so many times, and they recently moved to San Diego, and I just don't like this idea that they're no longer here. Once I give them my address, they'll just show up with flowers, they'll just show up with different things, and I was just like, these are the greatest people I've ever met. Anyway, so those little things, those little actions, and those little ways of preparing a meal, and thinking about the challenges and the things that you're faced with that are putting pressure on you, and then prioritizing how your food can actually be your medicine as well in such circumstances. Now I want to come to you, Jay. I hope you had a nice weekend. I just thank you for making the time to be here with us. I want you to share with us your interpretation of this proverb, and also where you're joining us from, but also share with us your favorite meal. The meal that when you eat, you feel that you can solve any problem, or that your problems have been solved. The proverb today is from South Africa. It says, when you have a lot to do, start with a meal.
I agree with that proverb, and I'm joining you from Seattle. However, if I have a lot to do, I need to start with a light meal, because a heavy meal will make me sleepy. It makes me tired and it slows me down. And I don't have the same. Of course, it always depends on what you're eating, but I need to keep it really, really light, because I know what will happen to my body if I don't. And I don't have a favorite meal. Um, I know a good meal when I taste it. And it's not always the best foods to eat. I heard about um, who is that said that? I think it was Lady. Anything her aunt makes is good. And there are a couple of people that I know that when they cook, I already know my eyes are going to be bigger than my gut. I already know it's going to be a problem, because their food will be delicious. I agree with you, Simon. I can't go to someone's house for a meal, or as a guest, and not take a gift. To me, it doesn't make sense. Or if you don't take a gift, you are definitely going to help clean up. You're going to do something. And I always feel it's selfish not to do that. Give your guests water while you eat a meal doesn't seem rational or fair or kind or thoughtful or considerate to do. But everyone's different. This is Jade. I'm done speaking.
Thank you so much, Jay. I appreciate you. I appreciate your contributions as well. Let's hear from Lavender briefly. Lavender, we are taking a virtual journey to South Africa. Our proverb today is, when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. Share with us what this means to you, where you're joining us from, and also your go-to meal, the meal that when you eat and you're faced with challenges, things that you have to deal with. After you eat that food, you feel like, now I'm stronger, I feel better, I feel ready. What is it that makes you feel ready?
Hi, Simon. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Very well, but very gentle. You can be you can pretend that you just had that meal.
Oh, hi. Thank you, Simon. This is Lavender from Kenya. I'm speaking from Seattle, and I loved Jay. Oh, she was talking about when she eats a good meal, she's just tired and wants to just lie down after that. I love that. I feel that way when I eat ugali and um, there's this pork that I had recently that really got me there. But when I eat ugali and fish, goodness, this gets me there. And today's proverb, when you have a lot to do, start with a meal. I'd say when I have a lot to do, I wouldn't want to start with a meal, also a good meal. Um, when I start with a good meal, I wouldn't want to do anything. There's lavender, and I'm done speaking.
Oh, very nice, very nice, very nice. I think you and Jay are right in regards to when you eat a good meal, you probably want to go to bed. But at the same time, when you don't eat, in sports, I was a boxer for a while. If you don't eat and you go to the gym and even go sparring, everybody will know that this one ate eggs. People didn't eat, we were like, oh, this one ate eggs today. Because eggs and ugali is really not a proper meal. You need some vegetables, you need to really eat so that it matches the tasks ahead of you. So even if you eat a lot and you have a nap for a few minutes and then you face the task that you have, then you're really in good shape. But at the same time, if you eat ugali, when we were growing up and you eat ugali and fish, people used to joke that it's like Piriton, it's like sleeping medicine. So it's true. Today we've really I have enjoyed myself. I've enjoyed listening to some of your favorite meals, your meals that solve all your problems. But really, I've also learned your wisdom and your contribution in regards to today's proverb. And I shared some of the takeaway at the beginning, the takeaway lessons from today's episode at the beginning of our conversation. So in case you missed it, you have to listen to this conversation. The first 5 or so minutes contain the 3 takeaways that I really want you to pay attention to. I'm just grateful we've come to the tail end of our time together today, and I just wish you all a really fantastic month of August and a beautiful day or evening, depending on where you are. And take good care of yourselves, and remember to have a good meal before you deal with some of the challenging things that we all deal with every single day. So thank you and have a beautiful one. Peace and love.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.